Dinosaur Adventureland is the place that Kent Hovind calls home. It has forever been the place of what he calls science communication and regularly gives tours around it. Tours which include the Science Centre, a science centre which has its own tour guide. A tour guide who's been giving science lessons on Kent's channel. Yep, you all know what this means, don't you? Roll the intro. Hello all and welcome along to another episode of Tinfoil Tuesday with me, Simon Dan. Thank you very much for joining me. Before we begin today, another thank you to the sponsors of today's video, which is Kamikoto. Kamikoto knives are made with high quality Japanese steel using traditional techniques. And each knife is individually inspected, coming with a lifetime guarantee. Now, I've been using these knives for almost a year now, and honestly, they've made my cooking quicker and cleaner. The knives glide through everything I try to cut without any undue mess. I've had knives before that always struggle with some of the thicker veg, but honestly, these knives have no trouble at all. The knives come in a heavy duty ash wood box, which makes it an absolutely fantastic gift. These knives are used by Michelin star chefs all over the world, so why not get involved too? Kamikoto have several Black Friday offers going on right now, and they're offering my viewers an extra $50 off the purchase price using the code SimonDan on top of the special offers. Just click the link or go to kamikoto.com/SimonDan to get your knives and help support the channel. Right, back to today's video, which, as I stated at the start, we're taking a look at the Science Centre at Kent Hovind's Dinosaur Adventureland. We start with a video from the Science Centre tour guide Damien, who's going to talk to us all about how dinosaurs used to live with humans.
Welcome to Dinosaur Adventureland. This is the Science Center, day 6, where we go over the dinosaurs. So we've got some interesting things here. Here's a picture of fossilized dinosaur skin. You'll notice the circles in the skin of the dinosaurs. These are ichthyostones from Peru, over 1,000 years old. They depict dinosaurs on the stones, and you can actually see the circles in the skin of those dinosaurs. Interesting.
Ah, the ichthyostones. Ancient stones discovered by a farmer who went on to admit that he actually carved some of them himself. This one isn't going to fly, Damien. Moving on.
How did they know about dinosaurs 1,000 years ago? We only started piecing their bones together in the 1800s. How did they know? How did they know specifically what the skin looked like?
I just said, matey, because a farmer faked them.
We can compare that skin to other reptiles here. We can see the circles in their skin. You got the Draco flying lizards. Reptiles never stop growing throughout their lifetimes. On day 2, we go over Dr. Hovind's canopy theory. If there was an ice canopy that encapsulated the world when God originally created it, it's likely that we had more oxygen and more air pressure.
Ah, the ice canopy theory. Kent Hovind believes that when God first created the Earth, he did so with an enormous big canopy of ice covering the entire planet.
We actually find the proof of this in fossilized amber with the air bubbles that have 32% oxygen in them. We're only breathing in 21%, so that's 50% more oxygen.
Well, yes, there was more oxygen in prehistoric times than there is today. And there are a variety of reasons for that, of course. But it would be interesting to see how Damien makes allowances for that.
So if the reptiles had 50% more oxygen under greater air pressure, they would be growing much, much bigger. They would live a lot longer.
Well, this was around 350 million years ago. The largest dinosaur that ever lived, the Titanosaur, did so between 145 and 66 million years ago. Now, at that point in time, the oxygen levels in the atmosphere were far lower than the 35% that you've just claimed.
Here we've got one of Dr. Hovind's longevity charts here. People living before the flood into their 900s, floods happening here, and you see how the ages drop off rapidly after the flood.
Oh, the global flood that there is no evidence for. And the 900-year-old people, which again, there's no evidence for. Great. Good stuff, Damien.
Well, it says during the flood, the fountains of the deep broke open. So if the crust of the earth was one solid piece before that flood, imagine all the pressure built up under the crust. If all of a sudden it gets released with enough force, it might be shooting rocks up into the atmosphere. If that ice canopy's there, it would shatter. All the super cold ice being magnetic would have been drawn to the poles. You get your polar ice caps.
I think you're confusing regular ice with superconducting magnets, which need to be really, really cold. But that is a pretty wild stretch all the same, isn't it? I mean, come on.
They find mammoths frozen, standing up, with food still in their mouth. How do you freeze a mammoth so fast he can't even finish chewing? Well, he could have been buried in ice from the canopy shattering.
Crushed by ice, not buried. To be buried in ice, usually you would have to be within the water before it freezes. Now, this magical mammoth just so happens to be able to withstand huge chunks of ice falling on top of him, all while staying up, standing, and keeping food in his mouth. Absolutely incredible animal.
If the canopy shattered, the air would spread out, less concentration of oxygen, less air pressure. We're not getting shielded from UV radiation we're soaking in from the sun anymore. We're aging a lot faster as a result of what happened during Noah's flood. The reptiles aren't growing as big as they used to. Here we've got a Jackson chameleon. He's got the 3 horns, the ridge behind the horns. You could take a good look at his skin. You can see the similarities there between the dinosaurs. Now,
well, chameleons did evolve shortly after the end of the dinosaurs around 65 million years ago, so it's no surprise.
if he kept on growing and got to a big size, what do you think you'd call him? Could be a little triceratops right there in the jar.
Well, no, because it's a chameleon, isn't it? Not a dinosaur. You'd end up having a giant chameleon.
So the reptiles are not growing as big as they used to. What about the veiled chameleon? Doesn't he look like a little dinosaur? Fascinating. Could be a parasaur. Oh, there's an example for you that we might still even be living with these dinosaurs today. They're just not as big as they used to get before the flood.
We are all living with dinosaurs today. Lots of them.
So come visit Dinosaur Adventureland. Come take the Science Center tour where we go over a lot more details about some of the dinosaurs that are alive today. Thanks for joining us. God bless.
There is nothing more that I would like than to come to Dinosaur Adventureland and have a Science Centre tour. Trust me on that, Damien. Now, let's move on to Mr. Kent Hovind himself, who is giving an example of the normal tour he takes of Dinosaur Adventureland, where he stops off on the tour to give a little talk about frogs.
One of the places we stop on the real tour we take at Dinosaur Adventureland is right here by the fence, where I ask all the kids with me on the tour, or the adults, what is this thing right here? And almost always they say, a frog.
Well, yes, it does look like a frog, I guess so.
I say, no, look at it again. That's a frog. No, kids, that's a stuffed animal.
No, it's not a stuffed animal if you're going to be pedantic, Kent. It's a stuffed toy. Good try, though.
Nobody with half a brain cell functioning would think this thing made itself.
Okay, and what's that got to do with anything?
Did somebody make this, or did it make itself? Duh, somebody made it. This is a stuffed animal. Now, it looks like a frog. Everybody would agree this thing had a creator. But they look at a real frog and say, nobody made it. The real frog made itself over millions of years. The real frog has a circulatory system, a digestive system, a reproductive system, a integumentary system, a skeletal system, a nervous system. I think it was designed.
Yet we have evidence that the first frogs existed over 250 million years ago.
There are 7,371 species of frogs in the world. They might have had a common ancestor called a frog. That doesn't prove elephants are related to pine trees.
And no one is saying that it does prove this. The common ancestor of all frogs is the ichthyosaur. But what's really interesting is the number of species of frogs just seemed to explode around 65 million years ago. I wonder why that could be.
These atheists, they see the varieties of frogs, which we all agree, there's a lot of them, 7,000. They'll say, see boys and girls, look at all these frogs. Yeah, that proves everything's related. No, teacher. That proves maybe the frogs are related, but it doesn't prove the pine trees are related to whales.
Maybe the frogs are related. Maybe. Oh my word, he can't concede anything, can he?
You guys, I don't know how you can be so dumb in this area. You know somebody made this. You know that. But you think nobody made this.
Yep, that's the long and the short of it. Of course, the stuffed toy was made in a matter of hours, and actual frogs evolved over millions and millions of years.
I don't know if I can help that kind of stupid. Maybe there's a pill or something. Try something. Watch my video series on drdino.com, a creation seminar series. Come visit Dinosaur Adventureland. Take the real tour.
Oh, that actually does look fun. no, I can't. Well, there we go. A fascinating look at Kent's Park there and his science centre. Now, Damien has a load more science videos which we can look at. Let me know in the comments if you're interested in me having a look at those. But for now, we're all done and dusted for another Tinfoil Tuesday. Thank you so much for watching. It truly is appreciated. If you would consider subscribing, that would be appreciated as well. If you really enjoyed the video, hit that like button, and if you really enjoyed it, then please do share at will. Just enough time to once again thank Kamikoto for sponsoring today. Remember, visit kamikoto.com/SimonDan and use my promo code SimonDan to get an extra $50 off on top of the special offers they've already got going on at the moment. I've been Simon Dan. Have yourselves a great week, and I'll see you on Friday for the Flat Earth Fail compilation 42. See you then.